On the outside looking in for playoffs right now. If they want to secure their spot, they absolutely have to crush the dreams of Giants in this game.
But ROCCAT are far from securing their own dream right now. They've fallen out of that sixth place tie with Splice as of yesterday by losing the game. And well, we'll see if they're able to step things up a little bit. Now into the ban phase, we see that the Tom Kench, the Mundo been removed. No huge surprises there. ROCCAT don't want to get licked.
No, that's generally something you want to avoid if you are playing League of Legends. I would expect a bit of spotlight on the Taliyah in this draft, whether that's in the ban from Giants or whether that's even if it slips through, it will almost definitely get picked because both Memento and Djoko like to have this early pressure from the jungle, and Taliyah is one of, if not the best junglers at doing that right now.
Now, keep an eye on the Taliyah if it does make it through. Now, the Aatrox is banned out on blue side. That strikes me as a little unusual.
Yeah, it's a bit weird there, but I think in this patch specifically, 8.14, Aatrox has gone from a you have to ban this champion every single game to more of a, well, you're probably going to ban this champion, but there's a bit of leeway there. So you are seeing it a bit more on that blue side ban. And Nocturne is well banned on the blue side. That does surprise me, though. I think that's something you could probably... Maybe ROCCAT don't want to first pick a jungler, and they didn't want both. Like, if you don't ban Nocturne here, Giants will most likely ban it, and then you have to take Taliyah, or Giants get it, and you're like, oh no, we don't want to take Taliyah. You know, maybe that's what they have in mind, but that is a bit surprising to see on the blue side. But
very curious. All right, so with the Taliyah ban, what's the next jungle you want to see Memento picking up for that early game pressure?
Trundle.
Good prediction.
There it is.
I told you you're a prediction king.
Yeah, definitely didn't say that as it was already being hovered. Yeah, we have seen really good performances on Trundle. This was actually banned away from Memento yesterday when he did have that shaky performance on the Gragas. He had the Kindred, the Taliyah, and the Trundle banned away from him. So I would expect to see a Kindred in return here from Djoko. At least that has been, generally speaking, what we see quite a lot of, honestly, in the jungle right now. And Rumble, not too surprising either. Both Prophet and Ruin love playing Rumble, so taking that from Giants, you don't only secure it for yourself, but you also take it away from ROCCAT.
Right, gives them a little bit extra team fighting power as well. We've all seen incredibly impactful equalizers coming out of a lot of Rumbles throughout the history of that champion being in pro play. So with the Braum, you get a little bit of defense as well. And I want to hark back to Memento because this is only the second Trundle this guy's played. And the first one was that game against Vitality that was an absolute smasher early in the split.
Yeah, Trundle is one of these champions. I mean, if you saw Kikis yesterday against Fnatic, he absolutely destroyed ROCCAT in that jungle matchup. Trundle, very powerful at invading the enemy jungler and fighting in those 1v1 scenarios. So if Memento has confidence that he can do that, he can bully out the enemy jungler, Trundle is exceptional in those scenarios. And ROCCAT have found success through strategies such as that, where Memento has the early game pressure. So if he's looking for that, Trundle is an absolutely solid pick. And now Giants need to pick, if they don't pick the Kindred here, it will most likely get banned out. But I would say Giants need to make sure that they don't get pinched too hard, or they've got an idea here for what their jungler is going to be, because when you have laners such as Rumble, which often pushes, when you have Yasuo as well, who's also quite an aggressive champion, and even the Braum setup here, you know these are lanes that you can influence, that you do want to be playing around, and if you get pinched too hard and you're put in a jungler that is just something you're not comfortable on, it can be actually quite difficult to enable and facilitate those lanes.
I'll see what Djoko's going to be able to grab to try and make that happen and keep the matching pressure on. Gragas is going to get banned away. I do want to talk a little bit about ROCCAT's developing comp on the other side, though, because this is the comfort level that we're seeing. Prophet's going back on the Gnar. Blanc is taking the Orianna once again. It wasn't enough to win the game, but we did see one 3,000 plus elo shockwave yesterday.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give him like half points. Blanc's 3k elo shockwave.
So it was 1.5k elo?
Yeah, 1.5k
right,
elo, which is like gold.
Not as good.
Yeah, like gold elo shockwave. I mean, it genuinely was a realm warp into the ball. Let's not forget that. That was kind of just Fnatic.
Just because it was an assist, it's all right, you know.
Yeah. Interesting Sejuani and Gragas ban here. I thought the Gragas ban was actually quite smart. Djoko has been defaulting onto that, and it actually has really good synergy with the Yasuo specifically. Picking up Ez though for Steeelback, no surprise there. We have Ez, I mean, he's almost an Ez one.
It's his most played champion.
Yeah,
I mean, you pair that with the Lucian, and that's pretty much most of this guy's games.
Right, in the past 5 games, I think this will be the 3rd time we've seen it. So I think that I mean, and Steeelback is good on Ez. Let's not, question that either. Oh, hello. This is one we ain't seen for a while.
Okay,
here.
Kaisa. We talked about EU Masters, man.
Cheeky.
There was definitely some pretty impressive performances in Kaisa's back then. But all right, so ROCCAT with this Kaisa Morgana, all purple composition down in the bottom side.
I quite like that. It's Kaisa is one of those more vulnerable champions. If you protect her, then bam, you're sorted. And you have the Orianna in the mid lane that can also can protect that carry, and then just the black shield that denies any kind of like the Braum specifically just being able to jump on the Kaisa. It kind of blocks that. So I think that Morgana pick is really suited there. And the Kindred I was mentioning, it was why I was slightly surprised to see the Sejuani ban here, because I actually think that I would be fine giving Sejuani over to Djoko. I would prefer to give Sejuani over to Djoko. I think Kindred's much more of a Djoko-style champion, especially in this team comp when, I mean, both these teams, honestly, if they, we heard Fisher say it as well in the pre-game, if Giants get ahead early, he thinks they're going to win. And I just think that Kindred helps them do that better than Sejuani does.
It's very true. It does seem like when it comes down to the big 5v5s that could happen later on if these teams are even, Giants have a number of squishy-looking members. The Braum is going to be the bulk of that front line. On the opposite side, ROCCAT, they're a little bit more front to back, and if Kaisa can stick to targets, like that Ezreal Arcane Shift doesn't matter when you get the Killer Instinct on, man. So ROCCAT have a pretty terrifying late-game team comp. Question is, do you think Giants are going to have enough power to get ahead on the back of Kindred?
I think that they absolutely have the potential to do so. Whether or not they do will be solved in the first 5 minutes of the game, depending on how Memento plays his Trundle. The specific match of Trundle into Kindred, Trundle is really hard to deal with. Kindred does have her hops, but when you have the speed up and the pillar from Trundle, it's actually a lot harder to get away from Trundle than you might expect with a champion that has as many hops as the Kindred has. So early on into this game, you have to be careful if you're Djoko. You do not want to repeat from what you saw yesterday when Kikis played into Broxah, Trundle into Nocturne and absolutely demolished him.
And Memento is certainly no slouch when it comes to early game pressure. Giants are going to have to watch out lest we see that deadly Trundle that we saw up against Vitality earlier in the split as well. Coming out the gates though, Giants Gaming aiming for the miracle run. These guys need to pretty much win out. Remember, it is the magic number, 9 wins. If you can do that, you have a very good shot at making it into the playoffs. Giants need to win every single game to make that happen. Looks like the game will start fairly standard though. No trickery, no shenanigans, no level ones.
For both teams here, this is absolutely a must-win game. I know as we get into the later stages of the regular season, that's kind of a common phrase to use, but full on 1,000%. If Giants do not win this game, the chances of them getting into playoffs are basically zero. Not 100% zero, but I'll just say you may as well kiss the dream goodbye. ROCCAT similarly, with how tight that top 6 is, being the 7th place team and already being a game behind, and this against Giants, this is a game you should win, right? It's a lower place team. This is going to be one of the easier teams to beat. You really can't afford to drop this one either. So a huge amount on the line for both teams.
It does look like I may have spoken a little too soon when it came down to level 1 shenanigans. There's a 3 squad here. Prophet better watch himself on the Gnar. Sir Nukeslot spotted.
If you have good vision, it's fine because you can react to it. It looks like they're going to split up the map here horizontally rather than vertically. Oh, I guess they're both diagonals, but you know what I'm trying to say here.
Geometry was not my best subject, but I think I follow you on this, Foxy.
No. Well, you are rather vertically challenged, my friend.
Oi, low blow.
Well, in your case, yes. So we'll move on to how these lanes are setting up right now. So the fact that Kindred is sided in this top side means that now Gnar is kind of isolated on this side of the map. Although it's actually interesting here, Memento has decided to... I'm not quite sure why Memento is doing this instead of just going for the bot side jungle. This is an interesting one, but it does mean that they can contest the Scuttle Crab here now, and Djoko might... Oh, if he runs into him here, he could be in a bit of a pickle.
There's going to be the pillar, and he's going to have to flash that wall. Followed through. He's got a hop, though, but Blanc is here. This might be very early first blood. You can see the Ghost already used. Djoko nowhere to go, and oh no! It's first blood for Blanc.
And Giants are a little bit feast for famine if they don't get ahead in that early game. That was an interesting jungle path, I would say, from Memento. I don't know whether that was 3,000 IQ or whether he just happened to run into Kindred there. I kind of think maybe it was the latter, but the early game plan from Giants here to split the map up so that they were isolating Prophet and basically protecting Ruin. They had that as their plan, decided they would just let their bot lane play safe, And now that's all been thrown in the air because of what you just saw there. And Memento able to pick up the enemy red buff, gets the top scuttle as well, which is nice, the Mark II. Just, man, that's not a good start for Djoko.
Yeah, whether or not it's calculated, ROCCAT find themselves up in a nice lead. Djoko will get the smite down on the blue buff, and it looks like everything else pretty much settled. Remember, though, how Giants were able to take the win yesterday, because I think it was a good blueprint for how they were able to snowball a lead, something that they had been previously unable to do. This time, they're going to have to do it from behind, though, FoxDrop.
Yes, and this has been, you know, not really a strength of Giants. As Memento is invading again, won't get anything out of here, although, you know, Djoko has no flash, so any invades that Memento does put on to Djoko is a little bit more dangerous, we'll say, for the Kindred. If he'd found Kindred in the middle of that camp, for example, oof, that could have been scary.
I'd say that's fair, and even Blanc is actually trying to join the keep Djoko down hype train, but in terms of actually farming, you know, more of the camps have gone the way of Djoko, but First Blood, of course, being picked up is pretty huge for that mid laner. Remember, Blanc was an integral part of ROCCAT, and typically is. When these team fights are going to start, he's going to be pretty happy he was able to get First Blood early in the game. First
Blood, you'll always take that, obviously, if you're planning carry. I think, for me right here, I'm worried about Djoko just because of the matchup with the mid-jungle matchup here with a lot of damage coming down.
Prophet, he goes Mega Gnar, but that is a lot of damage that Room is doing. Look at all those blue dudes, as you called them.
The blue dudes.
Actually pushing him back, and he still had the damage on.
Yeah, that is, I mean, this is why. This was blind picked, this Rumble, by the way. You know, Ruin and Prophet both are phenomenal Rumble players, and that's exactly what this Rumble pick allows you to do. You can be a bit more of a bully, a bit more of a carry, if you will, in that top side, because you are playing a champion with much more damage. And this is all before he gets the red carpet as well to lay down, so you can absolutely get some scary stuff going on if you are having the Rumble on your side, but you do have to protect him. If you don't protect him and he's pushing as hard as he does, he's really not good at evading ganks, so for now it's working out, but we'll see whether or not his pushing tendencies and vulnerabilities come up to bite him in the ass.
So we have talked a fair bit about the junglers in the top side and how that's been a little exciting to start the game off, but we haven't focused as much on the bottom side of the map as Memento is still hanging around. I want to talk a little bit about this Kaisa, though. You pair Heaq and Norskeren. It's had a very successful round on Heaq has, generally speaking, as far as AD carries go, but Steeelback himself has also been relatively good the last few weeks, but I'm a little weirded out by the death stat you see.
One of these numbers is not like the others. 9th, 1st, and 1st. Yeah, he's dying a decent amount. He's definitely giving the Grim Reaper a run for his money. But damage per minute, damage percent, CSD at 15. These are all really... we had some criticisms of Steeelback, just in general as a player and the way he was playing. And right now, what more can you ask every AD carry? Maybe dying a little bit less would be beneficial. But outside of that, he really has stepped up. And what I'm impressed the most about is the way that Giants are not necessarily playing around him in the lane phase either.
No, they actually let him kind of be alone because he can safely farm. He's one of these few players that's still focusing, as you mentioned, on the AD carry marksman, the Ezreal, the Lucian, these types of champions. And he's not playing the KDA mop it up kind of style anymore. He actually is getting involved. Unfortunately, when you're learning that, you die a lot.
Yes, you do tend to die a lot. And I think that's, I mean, at least in the context of this game, Ez is quite a safe champion. You know, you stay pretty far away, you've got your arcane shift. Generally speaking, you should be okay.
Speaking of safe, though, it looked like Djoko wanted to jump in, but Heaq and Norskeren were very easily able to stop him. The Dark Binding, that is a massive hitbox, of course, but Djoko's going back in for round 2.
I don't think he'll get anything there, though. They should check that bush there and see that there's a pink ward. Take that one away so that if you do want to go for a gank, you'll actually be able to do it. But Djoko here is actually maybe looking to become the aggressor, turning on Blanc in the mid lane.
Yeah, Blanc has both summoners. So look at the difference in levels between Djoko and Blanc. That's 3.
Yep.
Because Djoko has just been kept down in this game. Memento's been making sure of that. And, you know, it's thinking ahead. This is the thing you were talking about in your segment earlier on, that as a jungler, you really need to be able to not just see what's happening and what is right in front of you, but predict what's going to happen. And Memento definitely had the jump on Djoko this game.
Yeah, and we're seeing more of that with the Trundle pick in general being used like that to shut down the enemy jungler. What I'm interested in seeing is once these level 6 start hitting through, there's actually when you have the Rumble ultimate, there is much more opportunity to really take someone down. but it's better in these kind of skirmishes, like if Ruin was to join a play with the TP, and I think you won't see a huge amount going on right now. Steeelback doing his not quality, what's the word I'm looking for? His standard itemization here, where he actually skips the tier early and gets the sheen for a bit more lane power, rather than the scaling. But once these champions hit like 2 items or so, that's really when Giants are gonna like unlock. And if they can do that before ROCCAT hit their power spikes, I mean, that's really what the biggest window for Giants to take this game.
Yeah, they really have to make that happen, and we've seen that Giants, they can take games with leads all the way to the finish. We've seen them prove this, but it's still a far cry from being a sure thing, and ROCCAT is one of those teams that is actually pretty capable of picking up early leads and working with them. The issue that ROCCAT seem to have is they do kind of tend to be a toss-up team. I know it's a bit of a joke with the 1-in-1 curse, but hey, if there's one scary thing for Giants, the fact that ROCCAT have already lost this week.
Yes, that's probably the scariest thing going down. The 1-on-1 prophecy, if it's to be fulfilled, which it always is. And this is the game that ROCCAT's going to win. And Djoko picking up his first stack of the game, which is a little bit late on into it. But at least, you know, better late than never. He is trying to scout something out in this bot side jungle. He's not going to find anything, but there are on the way pings to that bot side, and Ruin also has his TP, but no ultimate, which is a little bit not coordinated well here.
Suspect. Ooh, nice shockwave though, and last breath comes in, but Memento is there. Tower shots. Memento's going to keep this chase on going. Flashes, takes a bite out of Crime, and it was going to be Betsy. Now Norskeren, he's in some trouble right now, surrounded by Giants members as the Lambs Respite ends. Down he goes, so Giants pick up one. It's a trade on the map.
It's a trade, and they're already working on that mid lane to try and knock that one down, and a 4-man push is pretty strong, but as you can see, that tower is already pretty weak, so first blood tower going in the favor of ROCCAT as well.
Yeah, ROCCAT managed to make their strength known a little earlier on in this game, so now the gold lead starts to grow here at 16.6. And it will start to get a little closer with Giants picking up that tower down bottom, but that's still 1,000 gold lead. And this isn't how Giants win games, FoxDrop.
This is not how they do it. I really want to give a lot of credit, though, over to Blanc in that kill there, as we're going to see the replay coming up. Oh, this is in the bot lane, never mind. But this is one we missed. We didn't see this on the screen here. But Djoko has been sitting in that bush for a really long time, and ROCCAT smell that something's up. Maybe they weren't expecting a TP here because they saw that Ruin use his ultimate to wave clear, not like 20 seconds before this play even started. But they're just so low. 4v2, no, 4's double the strength of 2, Pyra. You're not a geometry person.
No, but I think I can handle that kind of map.
Yeah, exactly. So
make it easy.
Just bully their way into that bot side. But yeah, they did concede their mid lane tower in doing so.
All right, well, it looks like Giants will be starting up, ROCCAT will be starting up on the Mountain Drake, so a little bit extra pushing power. It's a great start for this ROCCAT team right now. You've got 1 kill on Memento, you've got 1 kill on to Blanc, and look at some of the item buys that are already coming through, especially in that mid lane. It's a Luden's Echo already picked up.
Yeah, that's kind of scary considering Blanc is already winning in the 1v1 in this matchup here. That was why Betsy went down. It's how they were able to get that first blood tower mid 2, purely just off of Blanc doing Blanc things, obviously set up by that early kill that Memento gave him. But Blanc is honestly pretty scary right now. Orianna's not necessarily seen as one of these champions that is pure damage, like an assassin or something like that, but you absolutely betcha that with some items, Orianna does a huge amount of pain onto the enemy champions, and being ahead so far, oof, it's going to be scary.
As long as there's no wind wall there. Now, Giants are grouping 3 members near the mid, but see pings flying. They're not entirely certain where the rest of ROCCAT is, and the vision investment for ROCCAT is all upriver here, looking to maybe start off on the Rift Herald. Memento goes through, and there's a ward down for Giants, but the question is, can they react? They actually decide to try and get the gank off onto Orianna, but Blanc, he's moved out of lane already.
And Blanc is pretty safe on that Orianna champion. She has decent slows to speed up herself. Oh, that's going in.
Now they pull in Djoko. That's a lot of damage throwing down the Lamb's Respite just to keep him alive, but I think it might have been a little unnecessary.
A little unnecessary, but you saw the damage come out of Blanc there. One more command attack or dissonance, any of those two would have probably finished Djoko off. He has to respect that one. And there goes Rift Herald in the way of ROCCAT.
Yeah, building up the nice slow leads. Giants now, you got to think, might be feeling a little bit of pain here. Remember, every single game is going to matter for these guys, and you got to just take a look at some of the opponents they have to face after ROCCAT. It's not just going to be a team, honestly, of ROCCAT's caliber that they have to get through. They're going to have to face Fnatic, Schalke, Nulfear, all these teams. Now, ROCCAT, they're going to get an easy-peasy take up on the top side tower and keep on charging with that Rift Herald. Ruin's going to need some help, otherwise his lane will be ruined.
But if he's just sitting there and ROCCAT don't know, this is actually the perfect setup for a fight here, which it looks like it might happen. I wanted him to just blow that equalizer right out of the bushes his team was coming through, but they decided not to go for it. Fair enough. Fair enough. Play it a little bit chill.
It feels a bit bad whenever you see the Rift Herald just get completely disintegrated by the enemy team because you just decided to run off. Like, it's like a betrayal. You recruit him, or her rather, and she does her job, she charges in, and not even a thank you.
But it's kind of her fault for putting up a fight in the first place, because she just punches you in, and that hurts.
I mean, you know, it's like when you have to catch a Pokemon, right? They're gonna fight you at first, and then they become your best friends. Except in this case, they die horrible deaths after charging 2 towers.
Yes,
it's a very dark version of Pokemon.
I don't remember that ending from when I saw the Pokemon movie when I was about 6 years old.
That was actually really sad, though. I don't want to talk about that.
No, all right, we'll move on then, so we avoid your tears. Speaking of which, Steeelback here is sitting on, let's have a cheeky gander here, 191 tier stacks out of 750, which is not a huge amount, honestly, which will delay his his 2-item power spike here if Giants were playing into that, which, I mean, honestly, considering they're already behind, it actually makes it a lot harder for them to just like, okay, lads, we've got our 2 items, let's go, turn on the Jets, pick a fight, we'll win. Because now that 2 items is going to come through a lot later.
Yeah, it does seem like this game for both teams is a bit of a slow builder. The difference is ROCCAT are being the proactive team. It came down to, honestly, that early jungle pressure you were calling back to, Memento, making Djoko's life difficult. And it's even extended to this point in the game because he's just been on the back foot trying to collect those stacks. Now ROCCAT do seem interested in a dive. They're bringing Orianna as well, equalizer to clear the wave, but that's not enough.
It might be enough.
Oh, it is enough. Okay.
Yeah.
I spoke too soon.
Well, it's enough, but it's still not optimal. You do not want to see the Rumble Ultimate being used in this way, generally speaking, right? But to be honest, Giants do just want to kind of put a pause in this game a little bit, and they want to slow it down. So using your ultimates like that, I mean, yeah, probably not ideal, but you don't really want to fight at this point anyway, unless you do find people hideously out of position. And Djoko, he's looking to go for a play, but he's not had any impact this game, and it looks like it's going to be really hard for him to change that.
Makes you wonder if this wasn't part of the ROCCAT game plan. Let him play something that has to be doing carry damage instead of letting him be on the Gragas or the Sejuani that ROCCAT banned away. It clearly is working out right now, and they're getting more towers as a result of it. The third one will fall. All of the outers now Giants have lost, and that means they're going to have so much less map to actually work with to try and get back into this game and slow it down.
Yeah, I really like the point you brought up there about kind of baiting Djoko into taking Kindred. Almost, I mean, this is... Oh, that's a ghost being popped.
Yeah, and a shockwave pulling in Ruin, and the pillar forces him to flash away, but that's real damage.
Now, flash for Ghost, I think that works in favor of ROCCAT here. 2 teams are most likely going to be trading towers right now, though there is a mid lane push coming through as well for Giants. Probably not going to get anything there, honestly, which I think gives me a little bit of time here to talk about what I was going on before about baiting that Kindred pick there. Because Memento running the Trundle into Kindred, I mentioned before, it's kind of scary in that 1v1 matchup. And it all depends on whether you're actually able to get in onto the enemy jungle, whether you are able to actually bully out the enemy jungler. And I really just think that that was a heavily misplayed level 1 from Djoko, probably from Giants as a whole, because they had a game plan, which I actually think would have worked really well for Giants in this early game. But giving up that first blood really just, I think it kind of foiled Giants right from the get-go.
Yeah, at this point, they've pretty much been having to accept the fact that ROCCAT will control the tempo of the game for a little while. But look at this. This might be their chance to get something back. As the Mountain Dragon spawns, Giants are in the position to take it, but look at ROCCAT as well. They're nearby. Will they try to contest it?
Prophet does have TP if he can charge up that Gnar bar, but we can see the ping's actually going down into the mid lane. So Giants are taking this dragon, and ROCCAT decides, you know what, fellas, you can have that dragon, you take that one. How about we take your mid lane tower? I think tier 2 mid for a mountain dragon is a pretty decent trade, and if they rotate over to the top side now, they may get even more.
As long as they get out alive, it was one flash burn for Sir Nukesalot going forward with the Braum ultimate. Now Prophet will be able to fire down the tower in the top. They get 2 inners for that one. Great trade for ROCCAT. FoxDrop, these guys are really running the table.
Absolutely, and that is a really smart, decisive decisive decision.
That was a decisive decision.
It was a decisive decision right there. Because ROCCAT, it's very easy in that situation to just think, oh man, they're taking the dragon, let's go stop them, we're stronger, we can fight them. But actually, they're just like, no, you know what? We'll leave that. That's okay. We don't need to go for that dragon. Let's look at what else we can do. And that kind of decision-making in a short space of time, I mean, you don't have a lot of time to make that a call, to make that decision, to me shows real quality, real caliber. And this is why I think that ROCCAT are knocking on the doors of playoffs, and why they're only one win out of that 6th place spot, which does mean, I mean, if they're to get 6th place, they get into playoffs, right? So if ROCCAT are looking to go into playoffs, and why they are so, I mean, look at this, you know, it's just, Splice, honestly, there are 3 teams ahead of them that they can easily catch up with.
And they started the week in a tied position with Splice. Remember, it's just the fact that one team won, one team didn't. ROCCAT plays Splice next week, and this is where it gets really, really important for the last couple spots in playoffs. We talked about it, the magic number is 9. ROCCAT are only 3 wins off of that, and they've got plenty of games left to play.
Yeah, and ROCCAT played, it was Schalke yesterday, I believe they played, and that was a ridiculously close game. Schalke now sitting at 8-5, with ROCCAT now being 6-7. It was so close, and you saw the emotion from ROCCAT when they lost that game, because they absolutely could have won it. And now you're looking at Schalke being solidified in the 4th spot, ROCCAT in 7th place. If they'd won that game, which they absolutely could have done, ridiculously close, they'd be drawn at 7-6. So it really is a game of inches in the LCS right now.
Speaking of inches right now, I think ROCCAT are pushing for feet and miles at this point. You've got 2 waves pushing in top and mid. They're going to force the teleport back, and that's going to be Sir Nuxalot going. Betsy and Djoko will pick up a tower, just barely, but look at what they're losing in response for it. Heaq, Memento, Norskeren. The siege is just relentless right now from ROCCAT.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rue might put down that red carpet to try and wave clear here, and honestly, that looked a bit scary from Giants' side, that maybe they're just giving up another bad trade for them.
It seems like it. I mean, they don't actually, ROCCAT has no need to go all in at this point. They have been playing one of the most safe sieges that I've seen in a long time, because they can threaten with the Orianna ball, they can threaten with the big Gnar from Prophet. He's playing Kaisa, but he doesn't really have to at this point.
And perhaps the most significant part about them being able to push in the top side of the map was it enabled them to also put vision down in this top side jungle. They have a lot of control wards.
Allows them to do this.
Exactly, like deny vision, which means, right, now Giants have to face check because they need to regain some control over the top side of the jungle, because that's where the big purple worm lives. And you do not want that to go down for free into ROCCAT, because, I mean, if you do, it basically lights out as far as this game goes. And for Giants, probably your entire playoff dreams.
I'm glad you mentioned our Lord Baron of Nasherton, because ROCCAT are certainly going to have their eyeballs on that one, and with all the vision they do control, it's going to be so hard for Giants to come back in. We're looking at maybe like a wall flash, smite steal attempt from Djoko. If he can be the hero, redeem himself from that level 1 play, it could turn Giants' fortunes around, but as it stands, they are slowly losing this game.
Yeah, and this is the difficulty of when you are weaker in the 5v5. You can't really regain control of vision as you'd like to, because if you do run into the enemy team, you know you're going to lose that scenario. I mean, to be fair, even if you are equal or maybe even a bit stronger than the enemy team in a 5v5, if you're put into a face checking position, the advantage that that gives you in a fight probably means that you're going to lose anyway. So Giants are not sitting pretty right here. What they want to do, however, in order to make this game go a little bit better, just keep those sideways pushed in so that you're not drawn away from the top side of the map. That always gives you a chance when you have these blue trinkets as well coming down. You just want to make sure that you're not drawn to the bot side of the map, or that you have to be somewhere else as this dragon is potentially being going down, because then you really will be in a pickle.
Yeah, that's rough. So it's all about the vision war for now. And remember, Giants, if you're in a position where you have to make a miracle run, every single game is going to count. We got to just remember the teams that they're going to play up against. It's not just this ROCCAT team today. You talked about how good Schalke are looking. Fnatic and G2, legendary teams that are going to be facing off against each other later today. And Splice, a team that honestly is looking pretty hot in the back half of this split. So this is not a walk in the park for Giants, even if they can turn this game around.
Yeah, they're literally facing... Every team they face is a playoff team. Like, a really quality team, and that... Yeah, it's not just a miracle run because they have to win all their games, it's a miracle run because of who they have to be.
Well, maybe that's the miracle start to the fight. Unfortunately, Black Shield meant that the Braum ultimate didn't do a whole lot. Shockwave will also miss as Djoko hopped the wall. That was a non-starter of a fight. We're 22 minutes in and there's 3 kills in this game.
Yeah,
this is the game it's been.
It is, but I think that ROCCAT as well are quite happy to play this style of game because they know that the team they're going up against tends to not be very good if they don't win early. So ROCCAT just being able to chill out a little bit, I think especially considering the fact that they have not had the strongest of performances recently, maybe they're just a little bit cautious right now, especially with so much on the line. I think that it does, if anything, bring out the more conservative play style in these teams.
Well, that seems to be working for them. They have a fairly beastly team composition, but the fact that they've been able to siege so effectively means that, well, as I say, they were playing conservatively. That's a flash forward for Norskeren, who does tag on to Sir Nuke's slot, but he hops away. Still, that was a very aggressive flash.
I mean, I don't think that you need to go that aggressive, really. It just seems... It seems a bit unnecessary considering what you want to do is first deny vision, and then you don't need to be the one pulling the trigger in that sense. Giants will literally come to you, you know, and I think that that's really what they should be playing around, and just a little bit too much here from ROCCAT. They're really looking to start that fight because they know they'll win it, but I don't think they're playing it as optimally as they should right now.
I think Heaq thought about going in on that one. It looks like they want to push a little further. And crucially, Djoko's flash was burned in that last engage.
That's a ghost from Blanc, though.
That is a ghost. Let's see. Memento tanking damage on the backside. That's a big wave of minions. Meanwhile, look what's going down on the bot side. Betsy's trying to push as well.
I don't get it. Why ROCCAT is just so keen on trying to force this fight. Norskeren is literally in spawn at this point. He's literally in spawn. Like, you do not have your whole team even there. What are you trying to force in that situation? And you mentioned, look at what's happening in the bot side. Betsy is hard pushing here. He's on that inhibitor tower.
They're going to lose inhib tower.
He's on that inhibitor tower. He's a Yasuo. He pushes really blooming fast. He doesn't have TP. That is something to note. But either way, like, ROCCAT, because they've just been so dedicated to that top side. Ooh, got to dodge that one.
Yeah, nicely done. Heaq does come through.
Yeah, they are opening that bot side of the map, but holy moly.
What is going on in this game right now? Betsy's just going to be running away from 3 because the TP's coming in for Norskeren, and he's going to have to... Oh, no, Betsy! Last breath. Yeah, it will be, my friend. Okay, so sometimes the chase works.
Well, I mean, he had 2 get out of jail free cards there, and I don't know where they went.
Yeah, that's what I think you classify as a panic flash.
Yes. I mean, he could have just slid through that wall as well and just got out as well. I was hoping.
He burned Ignite too. I mean, at least I'll give him credit.
Yeah,
he wanted
it. He went all in. That, you know what? I will give him credit though. That was much more what I expect from a Yasuo in Legends. Maybe not. Maybe not necessarily what Giants wanted to see, but at least we will look at the plus side here. Okay, so this is really just Giants seeing that ROCCAT are so focused on the top side of the map that it opens up that bot side, which is why Betsy's in this position in the first place. But I don't think that he's expecting this to happen like this. Like, what on earth is this? But you can slide through these Krogs if you position them correctly.
Oh, no. But I mean, it was style points in the end.
Yeah, but he doesn't quite... I mean, to be fair, I don't want to be too mean to him because that is actually very difficult to do. But at the same time, I mean, this is the LCS. Like, you kind of expect people to...
Did he buy the Guardian Angel after that? I think he did.
Yes.
Okay, great. I mean, yeah, I can see he would have had to, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if he is just on split push duty, I really don't like GA. I think that you don't... I mean, your job isn't to survive a little bit longer. I think if you die in a split push scenario, you're probably just going to die when you revive it anyway. And you're really looking for that more damage so you can push more efficiently, faster as well, and you're better on those towers. Yeah. But we'll give him credit though, he's really stretching ROCCAT thin. It doesn't look like they necessarily really know what it is that they want to do in this game to accelerate it into a victory.
Yeah, that's my point. This is a very strange game. Now, Betsy is going to get caught, and I don't think he wants to go in on Prophet halfway filled to the Gnar bar.
So what do Giants do? But this is it, right? This is the difficulty. He's pushing up so far. He's such a thorn in the side of ROCCAT right here. You see that ROCCAT are just absolutely... 2 minds about what they want to do here. They came down in the river and then they decided, no, that's not going to happen. And then it's just, what do you want? But here comes Memento. He is coming down. Memento
is coming through, so that's going to be the 1v2. Now, Betsy, let's see how much time he can buy as the flash is forward. He dies for the dash, and that looks like he's going to die of GA. But look at what Giants have started. Is this the long con? Is this the bait? Let the Yasuo die, and we get the Baron?
I can't believe this is going to happen.
It's going to be right. That's going to be Ruin's red carpet thrown down. The shockwave, the ball, it's going to get flashed, and Djoko secures it. He's going to have to hop over, or maybe he just gives his life. Lambster bites down, and he takes one for the team. But that's 3 members of Giants that get the Baron.
That was pretty rubbish. That's my
On whose part?
Definitely ROCCAT's part.
I mean, that was strange.
I mean, oh my lordy, they 1000% fell for that Betsy bait right there. And what really surprised me the most about this play is, oh my goodness, he's done it.
Okay, now he decides he wants to go all in. This time, no, he gets barbecued and shut down by Ruin. Remember, they still have the Baron buff on 3 members. Can ROCCAT finish the fight here? It looks like they can. Shutting down Ruin's going to be critical for them to break into this base, and Norskeren bringing up the rear. Not going to be enough, though, for them to actually take Heaq down, so ROCCAT only get a tower out of that.
I mean, 1-for-1 plus a tower, I guess is okay. Plus you get a Baron buff off of 1 extra person as well. Only Steeelback has the Baron now, but let's look a bit further back here and see how this will happen. Because I mean, I mentioned the GA wasn't a good choice, right? Because in these split push scenarios, I mean, Betsy, you're just dead, right? There's no way this GA is going to help you achieve anything more than buying time. But because ROCCAT's position on the minimap, they're just nowhere near the Baron. They're absolutely nowhere near it. And to me, I cannot fathom why you're not closer to that Baron pit, because you know, surely you know that if Betsy is pushing in that bot side, that the rest of his team is going to go up towards Gnar and Basher, and they're going to take it down. Which is just precisely what happens, and I'm just flabbergasted that ROCCAT really just rolled over that easily, or didn't seem to see it coming.
I don't know if anyone could see what this game is bringing right now, because cancel teleport up towards the top side. Betsy, Djoko, Nukes, and Steeelback are all here fighting over the red buff. I mean, this has become one of the strangest paces of a League of Legends game that I have ever seen at this point. And Giants are coming back into it very slowly. They're only down about 3,000 gold, and we're getting close to that 30-minute mark now, FoxDrop.
For me, well, the most surprising thing here is, I mean, you mentioned the whole pace and how it's been a wacky game, honestly. It's Giants doing this. Now, Giants have been basically throughout the whole summer split the 9th place team. Now, there are only 10 teams in the EU LCS, and the team below them hasn't won yet. So Giants not really look like a great team. But they have had a bit of behind-the-scenes knowledge here, Pyra. Reportedly pretty good scrims. They've always been a good scrim team, but not really translated to stage. But now we're actually seeing, wow, Giants. I mean, Miracle Run, we re-rolled with it because, hey, it's possible. It's a fun storyline, but bloody hell, Giants, are you actually going to pull off the Miracle Run?
Yeah, well, it would all start here to get a win, but for ROCCAT, bitter disappointment if they drop a game that they seem to have in hand early on. Now, they are pushing on 2 lanes here, but a couple of minions is all that remains in mid. Meanwhile, Prophet down bottom is the more likely candidate to get that one through. Norskeren sends a Dark Binding. And they've split Giants up on the defense for now, but ROCCAT even still seem a little uncertain of what they want to do, and they don't get any objectives on this wave.
But I think that's fine. The way ROCCAT's doing it here right now is fine. Being indecisive or perhaps not really like just slamming your foot on the pedal here is okay, because you are chipping away at the inhib.
Shockwave, find Ruin, and he gets equalizer down, goes gold as well. Nukes a lot, Djoko, they're going for it, the fight, the last breath. Betsy looking for Memento, Heaq coming in, but nobody's died just yet. Nukes a lot might be the first to fall. There's the Lambs Respite, just outside of a Memento, steps in at the last second, heals up Big Gnar against the inhibitor, but Betsy gets Memento, and that's going to be GA popped. Giants, all 5 members standing tall, and Prophet left out to dry, shut down by Steeelback.
And this is what I said, you want to be playing a little bit more patiently. You don't necessarily want to slam your foot on the pedal, and that's kind of why, honestly, you are slowly but surely getting the result you were looking for. You are getting that inhibitor down, you are getting that bot lane tower as well. And Steeelback, the Frenchie we talked about earlier on today, he's had enough snails and frogs legs. Now he wants victories on the Summoner's Rift.
Yes, indeed.
The way he played that fight, honestly, was pretty blooming good. So it all starts with Ruin kind of being caught out of position here. But because he's Rumble, he's got his equalizer with the zonies as well, he can still contribute to this fight. And there's just a lot of damage going down, but this is why I want to look at Steeelback here. In this scenario right now, he's off on the side. The whole team fight is kind of being pushed towards, like, north, if you will, towards Giants base, but Steeelback isn't kiting back with his team. He's coming down the east on the right-hand side, and it's just, look at the damage. I mean, he's just putting out so much on the side, and he found the window, he found the opportunity to do that. And hey, ROCCAT gave Steeelback this Ez. They could have banned it out, they didn't want to, and he's shown, we had that stat coming up before, that if I mean, Steeelback is really turning around his performance.
You talked about it, 2-3 items, and this is the Steeelback that we've been seeing lately.
Yep.
He's going in and having more of a fight effectiveness. There's still a little bit of classic Steeelback in there. You see he has the QSS. I think it's a fair buy when you're staring down a Shockwave, a Dark Binding, and the big Gnar shuffle.
I think it's fair, but it will... I mean, if you get caught by a Shockwave, you're dead anyway.
That's true.
You can't...
I mean, you can Arcane Shift if you're un-CC'd.
Sure. I just think that, realistically speaking, it's most likely a death sentence anyway, but it will help if you get caught by a Morg Binding. I mean, obviously, as well as like getting wombo comboed by the Gnar. I think that's really what it's about, is just to stop him getting comboed down. I would hope that you would have more faith in your own ability to dodge those things and have a good positioning, but Giants now are pushing into the bot side jungle, and we saw from the minimap as well that a lot of these question mark pings are happening for ROCCAT too. But Giants need to be careful that the position of the sideway, specifically in that top lane, isn't neglected, because you don't just want to let that push into your base. And ROCCAT now are actually looking maybe... Oh, I thought they might rotate to the top side.
Hold on a second, though. Betsy's back
doing
at
Betsy
it.
things again.
Yeah, now is he going to have enough time to take down Prophet? That's optimistic. I think we might see a repeat of the last time around. Prophet does have the Frozen Mallet, flashes forward, trying to get them slows on. Betsy, what can you do? No flash available. Oh, nice wind wall, and Djoko's there. Well, this is where we cue the yakety sax, I feel like. Betsy, can he two-step it all the way through? Teleport coming through. Giants might force the fight. Betsy could be going down, but that's the GA teleport canceled. Oh, he got debated by his team.
He got a bit debated by his team, but he's... honestly, I think if his team had gone in with him, he would have debated his team in that scenario. I mean, this is why, I wasn't really a huge fan of the GA purchase in general if he is playing the split push role, because like I said, if you're getting caught out in a split push, you're just going to die like a few seconds later. It doesn't really change too much.
But it hasn't mattered this game. Like, what have they lost when Betsy's died?
That is
nothing.
also, exactly, that is also the thing. I mean, and they've even gained from when Betsy has died in the past,
That
too.
says something about his role on the team.
But the later the game goes, the higher these death timers are. There's still time for ROCCAT to do stuff. I mean, the Baron is alive now. There is still a naked inhib in that mid lane, too. So, honestly, if I were ROCCAT right now, I would just bomb it down mid, because this is the more 50-50 play. Let's see what happens.
All right, Norskeren is guarding. He's not the tankiest. He does get a root off. Now there comes the True Shot Barrage. Ruin going around the side, and he got him all trapped inside the pit. Can they win this fight to 4v5? Shockwave pulls him in. Ruin's gone down. Baron is going to get smited, taken out by the Kaisa. Now will Giants be able to take any more members of ROCCAT down with them? They find one. Steeelback flashing forward. Finds TQ for the double kill. And meanwhile, Djoko gets a kill of his own, so only 2 members of ROCCAT walk away with that Baron buff.
And now that Betsy has respawned, it is a 4v2. Bombing it down that mid lane. Giants, they got the first Baron, they lose the second one.
So Betsy's net neutral when it comes to Baron
Betsy is net neutral for Baron plays, absolutely. Your math is actually a lot better than you give yourself credit for. And now they are going into this inhibitor play. So having this inhib down, it's one less lane for you to worry about if you're Giants, and honestly, it means now Betsy maybe can actually push somewhere else in the bot lane. Betsy's now homeless.
There's nothing for him to actually push.
Exactly.
I mean, he's in the mid, but it's one of the weirdest ways to get back into the game, and it's been completely enabled by ROCCAT honestly not knowing when they should press the gas and press the brakes, but the gold is actually in favor of Giants. They're the ones that find the inhibitor play. It's been, how they got here, I don't know, but they did it.
And this is, I want to put focus on both top laners of both these teams here. So Ruin coming through the top side with the equalizer, and Prophet coming through as well. So much damage coming down from Prophet, sorry, from Ruin. Oh my goodness, I'm getting my names mixed up. Which really just chunks the health bars and makes that a bit tricky for ROCCAT to cleanly take the Baron. Meanwhile, Prophet is jumping over the wall and zoning everyone away from the Baron as well. So Djoko was not able to get into the pit. In fact, no one was in that pit from Giants outside of Ruin, and then Steeelback gets a few mop-ups on the end there as well. So both these top lanes right now, I think it's very fitting that they have very similar CS and very similar score lines. Well,
very equal score lines.
Yeah, because it is, I think both of these guys are just, not only are they playing well, but what I really like about it is they're playing their roles well. What they have to do to best give their team a chance to win, they're really executing proper solid on that one.
And that's pretty critical, but when both of them are actually matching each other's pacing and ability to execute, you got to wonder who's actually going to come out ahead, because the rest of Giants seem to be on board with what Ruin's doing. I don't know if the same can be said for ROCCAT right now. This team seems to be in two minds all the time.
Yeah, that has definitely been a theme of the game, is the indecisiveness. We did see that one time when Rocky decided to trade Mountain Strength for 2 towers.
That was pretty good, gotta admit.
Yeah, and I praised their decisiveness in that situation. But I generally don't know whether ROCCAT are just a little bit too afraid to lose, that they're not playing enough to win, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the type of thing that can sometimes happen when the playoff pressure is starting to get you. They lost yesterday as well.
You can't win. Yeah, sorry, you can't lose. Like, as far as your playoff hopes go, you really can't lose. I'm sounding a bit like a broken record. I'm not trying to force too much about the playoff talk, but I do think it is significant in what's going on into this game and how we're seeing ROCCAT play. But now they're grouping up into this bot lane. Keep your eyes in the mid lane as well, because that's where Prophet is. He's going to look to go for a cheeky little split push here and pressure 2 lanes simultaneously. Well, Giants look for a fight.
True Shot Barrage does clip the wave. Steeelback making ROCCAT reevaluate a little bit, and now there's mini Gnar Prophet. If he wanted to teleport in, he might want slightly better timing for it to happen. ROCCAT have actually stopped pushing for now, and they don't have a wave behind them, but they are very far forward. Is this just going to be a 5v5? I mean, flashing forward. Hold on. They found Memento. No, that's non-starter.
Yes. A lot of the stalling has definitely been a common theme of the fights in this game. But now the Baron buff has expired from ROCCAT, which makes it very easy for Giants to defend here. And yeah, that Baron power play, 400 gold, not ideal.
No, it's about as much as the Baron is worth itself. And
yeah,
ROCCAT don't seem to be keen to go for it now. Heaq does get chunked, shields on as well. ROCCAT going in, there's a big scoop. Will it be enough to take the fight? But Prophet already melting his health bar, almost down to 0. Dark Binding tanked up by Sernixalot. And that is the sombrero of the Shockwave. Prophet's coming back up, only to be going back down. Betsy going all in for this one as Djoko picks up the killing blow. And now Giants racing to get the cleanup on. Heaq gonna have to flash back, Steeelback following through, and this is just a long extended chase.
They're gonna keep going though, they've not had enough, and Ruin is coming down for the flank.
Let's see if he's able to find it. Betsy a little low, has to be careful to get too far forward. Oh, flashing away, Norskeren couldn't quite find the Dark Binding he needed in Heaq. Norskaren's gonna be going down, Heaq soon to follow. This is going to be Giants cleaning up on this one, but look at what's happening in the mid lane.
Memento's trying to backdoor his own inhibitor, but I don't think you want to defend at all here. You have an open bot side, you have a minion wave coming down as well. You could just end the game right here.
Giants are actually doing this 40 minutes, and they turned on the heat, finding the fight they needed, and it's only gonna be Memento here to defend. If there ever was a miracle play to keep the miracle run alive, that was it, FoxDrop.
It's happening right now, and Betsy, you see him, he's really low, but he wants Memento too.
Lambs are spite just to keep Djoko healthy enough. Teleport coming through. Betsy getting the last breath, and it will be the last breath for ROCCAT as Giants Gaming have won the game.
The miracle dream is alive, Pyra.
I guess you don't ask how your miracles come to you, but celebrate that they did. Well played from Giants.
Oh man, just looking over at ROCCAT here, that's a heartbreaking image right there. I'm sure you'll get it up on your screen soon, but Giants just thoroughly impressed by the way they played that game, because this is not a traditional Giants victory, and even the last game they played as well, Giants do not tend to win games when they don't have a significant lead early on, which they absolutely did not have in this game. And this looks like a completely different team, Pyra.
That was a completely different style of game, to be completely honest. It was such a strange tempo, but Giants managed to find themselves a late game victory, as we were just handed some interesting swag from the Giants coach, as they can high-five all the fans, keep their heads held high. It was a very weird one, and unfortunately for ROCCAT, that is not the way that you want to break the curse of the 1-1.
No, that is actually very true. The 1 week that they don't go 1-1 is the 1 week they go 0-2, and what worse time to go 0-2, honestly. But
yeah, right before the playoffs, it's rough. That ROCCAT are going to have to go back to the drawing board.
It is a bad time to go cold. This is not what you want to see. But it's just, I still want to talk a bit about the way that ROCCAT played this game, and perhaps a little bit of the indecisiveness that they showed. I mean, there were flashes of, okay, let's do it. We can do this. Proactivity. Let's go.
There were a lot of flashes, actually.
There were a lot of flashes, but not enough good ones. Really, I just think that it's
really hard, I feel, to analyze that game. Now, I'm not the analyst of the two of us, but I look at that and I just think, how do you predict outside of the first 5 to 10 minutes of that game, what was going to happen?
I mean, I was after the first kind of just very first level 1 play, it was just like, oh my goodness, what's happening? Like, I just thought Giants would be like, okay, now your gameplay is screwed. How do you react to this one?
Yeah, well, I mean, they managed to honestly not just stall it out, but take advantage of every misstep that ROCCAT made. And I think if you're not necessarily the most proactive team in the world, if you can be the best reactive team, you can still make it to that late game. And kudos to them. They showed up, and this is kind of what the whole late game stuff is about. I'm not sure if I agree with that being a consistent win, but it does work.
It was, I think it's just, honestly, for me, this shows you the difference between, at this time in the split, the difference between 2 teams, one who has everything on the line and the other one who's like, well, we probably won't make playoffs, so whatever, we'll just go for it, you know, which to me is, well, the way Giants play. They play with confidence, they play like whatever, you know.
If you got nothing to lose, then you can always gain something. Absolutely. Exactly. Now, if you guys saw someone that stood out in this game, be sure to check out the player of the game vote at LOL eSports on Twitter. Your choices are Steeelback, Djoko, and Ruin. Of course, it's always a team effort, but if you can find an individual that actually made the game-winning play, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, I think, genuinely, I think that as a team, they all, it was definitely a team performance here. I think Betsy's split pushes were very significant in this game. You know, Steeelback's team fighting was really good too. Just everything all
Betsy's
around.
sacrifices.
The fact that Djoko didn't
that's what a real hero does.
After 5 minutes, that's definitely.
I suppose it does take quite a lot of inner strength.
Cool honor right there. As a jungler, yeah, he gets my.
Yeah, no, I think I know now. These teams are definitely fighting to secure a spot at the finals in Madrid. That'll be on the 8th and 9th of September. If you want to watch the event live, you can get your tickets now at eu.lolesports.com/Madrid. And that is going to be a hype one no matter what. Now, for more on Giants' victory, here's Lo with their jungler.
Thanks, Pyra, and congrats once again. You keep surprising everyone. Yesterday, Misfits, today, ROCCAT. So what was your mindset coming on stage today?
We were prepared first, and especially for me, I ended up realizing that I was shocking a lot before. And yesterday, I really played with careless a bit, and I could see that I was like better. Yesterday was my best game of my life, and I was really careless. And it's like show me that I was overthinking basically. And right now I'm the shot caller, you know, and it's me who like know what to do, say to people what to do, and then right now I'm just trying to cool myself, and I think we can win everybody if we just play like that.
Do you feel some pressure towards this new role as a shot caller in Giants?
Yeah, I do, because before I was like with a rookie as a support and he didn't really know what to do, so I had to like tell him where to go, and right now he's insane. Like he made so much progress and it's helped me a lot, and right now I'm just like, I can rely on them and it makes my life easier, and you guys can see that we are expected to make improve and winning teams, so yeah. Obviously, we make some changement.
And they can rely on you as well. Now the miracle run is on. 2 weeks left. Can you make it?
Yeah, for sure. I think if we stay on this mindset, no care, who cares if we lose? We have nothing to lose, everything to win, and keep like that. I think we can win everybody, even Fnatic.
Well, I wish you good luck on this one, and thanks for joining me after the victory. Now send it over to Chucks for post-game.
Thank you, Laura. I just got to say, yes, Djoko. Yes, 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 yes. This is what we wanted to see. This was a very tricky game, but I love his mindset. I love that he says, you know what, now I choked on stage before, but I realize now that we just have to win every single game and we have to give it our all every single game. The theory is great. In practice, this game was a bit dicier.
But they did it, and that's the most important
Uh-huh.
thing. The miracle run is still in effect. We heard the casters talking about it. Djoko has faith in the confidence that they can do it. And right now, Giants are that kind of potential dark horse to make it.
Oof, yeah, we'll look at their schedule also later with now a 2-0 week. But Djoko talked about how he wanted to, erase all the mistakes that maybe he's made in the last couple of weeks and really concentrate the fish show. First blood, though, went against him. Can you break down what happened?
Yeah, I'm just going to do it to illustrate, because I think drawing a little bit is going to be fun with this one.
Great.
I will obviously just have to clear the screen a little because we are zoomed in. So we're going to watch it from Djoko's perspective mainly, because what's actually going to happen here is really cool. I start just by looking at the minimap before we do anything super special, if we can get the minimap going up there. So what's actually really awesome is Giants have done something pretty interesting with placing a ward here. This ward is placed to try and spot if Memento on the Trundle is actually going to walk into their jungle to steal their blue buff, or if he's going to walk over and join Djoko, who of course started on the enemy blue buff on this side. Now Djoko does not see the Trundle walk past this ward, so he should think, okay, Memento's coming to me, but if I actually start looking at the replay and we go for Djoko's vision, notice how he doesn't actually see Memento taking the blast cone when he runs past him. So he's like, wait a minute, where's this guy? He didn't walk past the ward here. I didn't see him on this side. So he doesn't actually realize that Memento has walked behind him on this side here. And when he's killing the wolf camps, he thinks he's alone. But there's really nowhere Memento could actually be. So Djoko should probably have thought to himself, okay, he has to be somewhere on the map, unless he's doing 3 camps on the bottom side. Sadly for Djoko, Memento with the blast cone, which was actually kind of funny how he just missed him by like 1 inch, ends up showing up behind him. I think in the end, the level 1 plan was good from Giants with the ward and the invade. Like everything was kind of set up properly.
Yeah.
The one guy who sneaks over with the blast cone and you're not really thinking where else could he be, that's a little bit unlucky.
Yes, agreed.
Agreed. And then, of course, the age-old tale of ROCCAT kicks off, right? They get a good advantage, they get a good start. Blanc gets that first blood, and that's when everything just starts rolling. And ROCCAT look like they will be running away with the game.
The way I see it is they've drafted a little bit more of a scaling comp. They have strong pressure in the mid lane, and when they have a lead, they know how to use it. We saw how well Blanc and Memento worked together in order to take a very quick mid lane tower. They were taking objectives left, right, and center, and every time Giants tried to do something, ROCCAT were answering, and usually it was going in their favor.
I mean, ROCCAT had 6 turrets taken down fairly early on in the game. Like, we're looking at 22, 23 minutes. All out of turrets are gone. That's clean snowball. The next thing you just need is to secure the Baron, and you use that to push into the base.
One of the reasons why Giants maybe also weren't feeling in their elements when we look at picks and bans. Yesterday, you were applauding them for their 1-3-1, for their split pushing. Sure. Today, there was less of that. It was tricky with the Rumble in there. So we felt like they didn't really play to their strength in the draft.
When I looked at their draft, it was a little bit like they first pick Rumble. So if you're putting that much priority on it, you immediately think, oh, they're going more towards like that team fighting style. Then they pick the Yasuo because they see Gnar, and they think that it will be fine in a side lane against Orianna too. So they've kind of got a bit of team fighting, but also have this side lane pressure. And if you don't have an early lead, that becomes difficult to execute. And we saw multiple times Betsy sitting in a side lane trying to draw pressure, but very rarely could Giants actually turn it into anything.
But just the fact they had the Yasuo pick did give us the element of split push, as you just highlighted, which is what we wanted from Giants, and was actually a key part of them getting back into this game. I mean, we can just pull up the replay already, because it is actually Betsy who is split pushing in that side lane. And while it looks bad at first when you jump into the replay, because he's buying and quote-unquote wasting GA, he's actually not wasting anything, because he's buying so much time for his team to start the Baron, and this is when Giants are behind. They're down in gold at this point. It should be ROCCAT with the control, but because Betsy actually managed to get the split push going, Giants show again that they can get back into games without being forced to team fight. And I think that's just been a key part from this week.
But you talk about team fighting, later on they actually pull off some pretty impressive fights, and admittedly ROCCAT overcommit a little bit here, because what started this off was a phenomenal Rumble ultimate from Ruin. Landing onto all of the carries, they get zoned out of the fight, and then the 2 tanks, the 2 frontliners on ROCCAT say, hey, we can still fight, but the damage dealers are gone.
And that's actually why I know people look at Steeelback's numbers in terms of some of these fights, but to me, Ruin, like, that was another one. That was a 3-man ult into the Baron. Like, Ruin to me was the most important player when it came to these team fights that they managed to win. This one, in the end, becomes a couple of kills for Giants, but the Rumble ultis every single time landed on at least 3 players. And that is what forces the other teams to start running away instead of actually taking a head-on fight.
Well, at the top of the show, we were looking at the players from ROCCAT being so down after yesterday not being able to turn that game around versus Schalke. Man, this is going to be a heavy blow for them. They go 0-2 in a game that they had an advantage at 15 minutes. Everything was normally in the cards for them, but they kind of threw it away, and I think they're going to have to take a hard and long look at this game if they don't end up making playoffs, unfortunately.
It feels like a collapse for ROCCAT at the worst possible time right now. You have teams underneath you starting to win games even against you. That's, again, making it even harder because you have so much pressure on you. You can drop further down the standings. And we kept talking about how Splice, Vitality, Schalke are actually winning a lot of games now, and those are the guys just above you. So I feel like ROCCAT are stuck in the worst possible situation right now, and this effectively slump they're hitting, it most likely means that they feel like there's almost nothing they can do now.
But where there's a loser, there's also a winner, and Giants is the absolute biggest winner of this weekend so far, 2-0. Steeelback is also a winner, 49% of the votes for him. You alluded to it already. He has good numbers. Ruin also did great. It was really a team effort, but it will be good for Steeelback to rake in this player of the game. But if we look at Giants as a whole, we touched on it. The miracle run is absolutely alive for them. They even, I think, have a bigger chance than we even gave H2K last split around to make it.
Well, It's challenging because they still have Fnatic, Schalke, Splice, and G2 to get through if they want to stand the chance of making it to and they have to win, I believe, 3 out of the 4 at least to even consider a tiebreaker.
I mean,
so it is really challenging for them to still make it, which is why we call it the miracle run. But to quickly bounce back to that Steeelback, just because I want to highlight the fact that he had a lot of criticism at the start of the split, and the fact that he is stepping up along with players like Ruin, players like Betsy. All of this team was just about Djoko initially, but now we're finally seeing the rest of the members step up, and if they can continue to play at this level, they can get those upsets and they can make the miracle run.
Do we believe?
No, but I'd like to think that it can.
I think they definitely can. And as Djoko said, it's all in their own hands. If they play to win, if they put their heart and soul in the next couple of weeks, it is entirely possible for Giants. Things are heating up and there's more League of Legends coming up after the break. Splice is going to try and continue their strong form against H2K. See you in 3.5.
TP's coming in for Norskeren, and he's gonna have to. Oh no, Betsy! Last breath. Yeah, it will be, my friend. It's gonna be a fight. That's going to be Ruin's red carpet thrown down. The shockwave, the ball, it's going to get flashed, and Djoko secures it. He's going to have to hop over. There's the Lambster Spine just outside of a Memento. Steps in at the last second. Heals up Big Gnar against the inhibitor, but Betsy gets Memento. Shockwave pulls him in. Ruin's gone down. Baron is going to get smited, taken out by the Kaisa. Now, will Giants be able to take any more members of ROCCAT down with them? They find one. Steeelback flashing forward. Finds Heaq for the double kill. Will he get too far forward? Oh, flashing away. Norskeren couldn't quite find the dark binding he needed in Heaq. Norskaren's going to be going down. Heaq soon to follow. Keep Djoko healthy enough. Teleport coming through. Betsy getting the last breath, and it will be the last breath for ROCCAT as Giants Gaming have won the game.